Hello, coaches. Welcome back to another episode of Coach Better Spotlight. Today, we have a conversation about when, why, and how you might provide difficult feedback to teachers as a coach. We have 4 of our superstar guests from our YouTube series, Coaching Fundamentals, Tim, Diana, Ben, and Panna, so you get a wide range of perspectives. This conversation was prompted by a question in our Coach Better Facebook group. What are the best approaches to have difficult conversations or give difficult feedback to teachers? Today's spotlight focuses in on the very first part of our conversation, where we share 5 different strategies for sharing difficult feedback with teachers. Catch the full podcast to hear us discuss how and why you might need to have difficult conversations and when each strategy might work best. If you have questions about coaching, please join our Facebook group or message us on any of our social media platforms at Eduro Learning. Before we get started with today's episode, I wanted to let you know that our very popular Microcredential program, The Coach, is open for early bird registration beginning on the 3rd of February. We would love to have you join us for our 4th cohort, but our cohort sizes are limited and we sold out before early bird closed last year, so don't miss your chance. If you want to check out a little more about what we're doing, please join our New Year's Challenge on Twitter with the hashtag COACHBETTER. And stay tuned to the end of today's episode to find out what our current participants are saying about the coach and to learn how you can register for our next cohort. All right, welcome back to another episode of Coach Better. Today, I am super excited to be here with many of our guests from our YouTube series, Coaching Fundamentals. And I'm going to ask everybody to say hello and introduce themselves so we can get started. And I'm just going to call on you in the order that I see you on my screen. So I'm starting with Panna.
Hi, everyone. I am Panna Asvavatana, and I am the pre-K to 1 technology and design coach at Taipei American School.
Awesome. And Ben, you're next.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ben Sheridan. I'm a learning innovation coach at NIST International School in Bangkok, Thailand.
Thank you.
I work mainly in elementary, but coordinate across the school.
Awesome. And Diana.
Hi, I'm Diana Biabat. I'm an innovation coach at American International School, Guangzhou in China.
Thank you. And last but not least, Tim.
I'm Tim Bray. I'm the Director of Educational Technology at Cheongna Dalton School in Incheon, South Korea.
Awesome. And we are expecting to see Carrie Lee Beasley and Clint Hamada on the call at some point during this session today. So if they jump in without warning, it's just because they weren't able to get here right at the very beginning. But we welcome them anytime they can join. So our topic for today's conversation came from our Coach Better Facebook group. And as soon as we saw this topic, we were like, oh, this is an interesting one. The question is, what are the best approaches to have difficult conversations or give difficult feedback to teachers? As coaches, we are often in this situation. So who wants to start us off with their first initial thought on this prompt?
Oh, I'll go ahead and jump in.
Awesome.
I don't know, my experience has been that a really good way to start that conversation is just with a couple disclaimers with people that you're going to talk to, the person you're going to talk to, and just saying I want you to understand that this isn't a comment on you as a person, and it's not even a comment necessarily on you as an educator. These are just observations that I had when I was in your room. These are things I saw. These are things that I had questions about when I saw your planning or when I saw your lesson. And so I think if you can frame it around, first of all, just acknowledging the fact that it's going to be an awkward conversation and it's going to be a little tough, that's important. And then as much as possible as you can focus it on what you observe students doing rather than what we're saying they did. It's like, I saw students doing these things. I witnessed students having this issue. And then that way it's sort of like you're taking away the idea of I'm not saying you're a bad teacher. What I'm saying is this is what I saw the kids do, though.
I mean, I was going to say something along those lines too, because I think I have worked in a bunch of schools that follow the Looking for Learning protocol for peer teacher observations. And it's always about what you see students doing. And no matter how many times I do a Looking for Learning process, I'm always amazed at the depth of conversation you can have about student learning, but also teacher practice without ever directly saying anything super confrontational. But I do think there are times when we have to have those confrontational conversations. But before we get into that, anyone else have any other thoughts on just getting started, warming up to the topic of giving difficult feedback to teachers?
I would say one thing about being a coach is that you work on relationships. So hopefully, it's really, if you have a good, strong relationship, professional relationship with someone, I feel like that should help temper it as far as you have this, this positive relationship with somebody. You can be honest with them and you care about them as an educator. And so that relationship is really, really key. And if, that's a huge part of our job first, and that hopefully with that already having some kind of positive experience with that person, that if you do have to bring up something that's a little more challenging or difficult to talk about, that relationship's strong enough to handle that.
I think that's a great point, Diana. And I think you can build sort of trust by showing vulnerability in yourself to begin with, and you might admit, this is something I really struggled with as well, or these are some strategies I use. But hopefully you're there for a specific purpose, and you've had a discussion about what data you're collecting to, what data you're there to collect. So you can kind of use the third point by focusing on, here's the data. What do you think about it? What are your perceptions of what is this data telling us as sort of like an entryway to sort of have that maybe difficult conversation. Maybe, they were trying out something new and it didn't go very well, but it's not to say, that might make us feel uncomfortable because maybe we didn't see it as a win, but I think it's an approximation, right? It's one more step closer to where we want to be. And, by having that sort of data, that third point there to sort of focus on, it's not necessarily, oh, you didn't do it. It's like, oh, well, here's what the data tells us. So what are we going to, based on this information, what are we going to try next?
Absolutely. Hannah, did you have anything you wanted to add before I force us to talk about those difficult conversations?
I think that I basically mirror a lot of what the three of you have already said. And for me, I think that once we hit a point where I anticipate that there is going to be perhaps some sort of defense mechanism or a possible defense mechanism at, the feedback that I might be giving, I think that I try to name the things first that either they have said to me previously or just kind of like to reflect back or mirror back to them what I have heard from them before, so that they know that they've been heard and they don't feel like I'm coming from a totally side angle and have blindsided them. So yeah, just making sure that they also realize that I do see their point of view and their angle before even getting started.
I think those are all such really good points that you all have raised. The idea that addressing that it might be an awkward conversation, and I noticed some things that you asked me to look for, here's what I found kind of thing. And then the looking at what students are doing in the peer observation kind of model of not talking about what the teacher did, but talking about what the student did. And then having that foundational relationship that allows you to have a little bit more challenging conversations, being vulnerable yourself and sharing your personal connections that in ways that you might have struggled as well. And then paraphrasing back what you've heard in various conversations, those are all really clear and specific strategies that we can go to anytime we're giving feedback that we know might not be received in such a positive light. Did you enjoy today's episode? Then you will love the Coach Microcredential program. We know because our current participants are always sharing their feedback with us, and we ask them to share their experiences with you. Each week, we'll be sharing a new voice from inside the cohort of the coach, so you can get a participant's perspective on what will make the program just right for you.
hey, are you thinking of joining the coach? I would highly recommend it. It's a great opportunity for really personalized professional development and has taken me a long way in my journey on learning how to be a coach and coaching better. I get an opportunity to have a video chat with my mentor every other week. That's Kim. And she's been fantastic, always giving me ideas and the coaching that I need, using the skills of a coach to help coach me. So I'm also learning those skills as well. And also answering any questions and helping me along the way when I'm trying to fumble through my way of coaching. So I'd highly recommend it. I would definitely suggest you try and join to really help you develop your professional coaching skills.
This is just one of the voices from our current The Coach cohort. Here's what a few others have to say.
I'd really advise anyone interested in taking the coach to take the plunge and go for it.
So I highly recommend it.
So do it.
So I say go for it. Definitely take the coach. I couldn't recommend it more.
But overall, this course is fantastic because it's made me feel awesome. It's made me feel excited for my future.
If I were to give any piece of advice or message to future cohort members, it is to take the course. If you are on the fence, please take it.
As you can see, this micro-credential is for all educators, not just coaches, because you develop the coaching skills you can use in all aspects of your practice. You don't have to be a coach to have a coaching conversation with a student, a fellow colleague, a school leader, or even a parent. When you're ready to learn more about the coach, click on the link below or reach out to us at Eduro Learning on any of our social media platforms. Registration for our next cohort opens soon. Don't miss it. Expand your professional learning network, dive deep into 26 weeks of curated coaching content, and get your own private mentor for an entire academic year. We can't wait to work with you. Are you ready to take your coaching skills to the next level? Join the next cohort of The Coach and make it happen.